This is my final media project by Sydney Kleina. The program that I have applied for is the Educational Technology, Media, and Materials Program. The Educational Technology, Media, and Materials Program is a primary source of support for accessible technology and media-related activities under the Individuals with Disability Education Act. There are many different programs within this program that can be applied for at different times, but the general consensus amongst them are that they support accessible technology and educational materials and media. The reason that I have applied for this is because I am a self-contained special education teacher who is currently working in a low-income district. I have students with needs that need to be fully met according to their IEPs. Students have accommodations that need to be followed, and this not only goes for their specific instruction or coursework or how they are accommodated within the classroom, but this is also in relation to their devices. All students within my district are issued a Chromebook that they are able to use for the year, and there are not that many programs embedded into the Chromebook. There are programs such as accessibility features, but more so accommodations that fit a student with academic learning needs. Another reason for applying is that my students need opportunity to access the curriculum. At this stage, my students are following the same curriculum that the general education students are following. From one of my lesson plans given from this curriculum in the district, students are learning about double-digit subtraction. This is the same curriculum offered to all students in the district, whether they are at grade level or, for my students, some are 2 to 3 grade levels below grade level. And they should still be getting access to second or third grade curriculum, which is what I teach, but there should be ways that this can be modified or a curriculum appropriate for their learning needs. Within the general education curriculum, students are given many different ways to solve a problem, kind of like throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping and seeing what sticks. With special education students, it's a lot harder for them to understand that all these visuals or these extra steps that the general curriculum is proposing. It is difficult for them to relate this back to the problem, which is where I typically heavily modify the curriculum on my own so that it's basic, the double-digit subtraction up and down. Students are subtracting from right to left versus worrying about place value and place value discs. And there's a lot of extra steps that come with the curriculum that my students would not understand all connected, whereas these topics should be taught separately. So, place value as one whole unit and subtraction as one full unit rather than trying to merge them, which is absolutely beneficial for general education students, but this is where self-contained students are slipping through the cracks. One of the resources that I like to use as an online tool is Kahoot. It is a review game that my students very much enjoy. At the very basic subscription to Kahoot is free, which is amazing, and that is what I currently use, but it does not give you that many opportunities to create engaging review games, and with specialized curriculum that I am working on and modifying it for my students, I am having to create my own review games, and without a paid subscription, there is less of an opportunity to make this more accessible. And accessible media is currently limited and not easy to access. We heavily utilize Google's Read and Write program, which is amazing because it allows text to speech or speech to text. However, if you are not on a Google app such as Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Forms, Google Read and Write does not come up. So if I am working on a different website or if I'm having my students read an article, this accessibility feature is not offered if it is not a Google program, which is definitely difficult. And I'm, again, modifying things and adding them into Google resources so that my students are able to use this tool. My district is heavily focused on the general education students or students in the MTSS program. And these students in the MTSS program are typically in a resource special education classroom, and the district is working on bridging the gap between these students and the general education level. So they're typically around the 15th to 25th percentile in the nation, and general education students are typically 40% or above. So they're trying to bridge the gap between the two. But students in self-contained classrooms throughout the district are not supplied with resources needed to bridge any gap to that general education classroom. They are just given the general education curriculum and, learning what they can. So I'm hoping that with this grant money that my students will have possibly more accessible technology that they can use so they can continue learning in a blended learning environment, and also a modified curriculum with appropriate materials for them.